Alright, I think we're live. Just gonna give it a bit of time, see if everything works. Oh, I see people tuning in. Awesome, got a bunch of comments already. I also wanted to put a little bit of music in the background, so I'll do that real quick. Alright, that should be good. There we go, okay. Well, thank you everybody who has been liking the video thus far. I know we haven't started yet, but I really appreciate that. Yeah, so today is the big LUDO day. It's the big day where we create our first multiplayer game with MLAPI, and I must be frank, I'm actually enjoying it quite a lot. I know I'm an advocate for the com.transport layer, but at the same time, I've been using this yesterday just to practice for the stream basically, and it's been going well. Like I see myself making quick games with that and having quite a lot of fun. Nothing big, but something maybe like a small racing game or something like that. Really enjoying it thus far. So I'm gonna go through a couple of comments before we get started. I just want to do one note before we get started though, is that this stream will be put on the main channel, but it's gonna be cut. Like this part here that we're having, this interaction we're having together right now is gonna be cut. Just because I want to make it consistent. So the goal today will be to create a LUDO game. Maybe we won't make it to the end. Chances are we're going to stop prior to that. I have a very small attention span, so chances are we're going to stop before that. But still, I want to get a little bit of work done today, having fun, testing out this API a little bit further, and maybe by the end, I'm thinking maybe in 2 or 3 weeks from now, we can play on the stream through WebSockets. That would be nice. So let's get through a couple of comments before we get started. So we got this comment here. Please include the part where we can host the game on the server and how to create a public and private game. It's gonna take a lot of work. I don't exactly know how to do that just yet, but it's something we're gonna figure out that towards the end for sure. And this goes hand in hand with the comment from Admin who says, "Hello man, I think it'd be great if you could make a video on," stop spamming please, "if you can make a video on connecting Unity game to dedicated server, either Linux or Windows." That's something we have to do for sure. I'd like to do that on stream because it is a operation that takes a little bit of time, to be frank. So you have to get a host, you have to get multiple things to host your server, right? You have to get your host. I would be using DigitalOcean. You'd have to learn a little bit of Linux just to navigate that properly, and then would have to find a way to put your build on there, either through SCP or putting it on Git and doing a small pipeline here where you would do progressive development. So when you push on Git, you could actually run your server after that. Purple Ground says, "This is going to be awesome." Thanks, man. You've been around for so long. I really appreciate your support. Really, really do. Hey, what's up? Not much. Just MLAPI this morning. Yo, hello, is this a tutorial on the online LUDO? Yes, this is a tutorial for the online LUDO, but please stop spamming. Alright, so let's get started, right? Okay, no, you're spamming, you're pissing me off already. I'm just gonna mute you. Sorry about that, but... There we go, okay. So I'll start off, of course, by creating myself a new project. And while I'm here, I'm going to pull up the documentation for the MLAPI for the sole purpose that we're going to need it quite a lot. As I said, I'm not 100% familiar with it. I did play around with it, but not super familiar. So I'm going to be opening up the doc and we're going to go through that. And oh, as I was looking at that yesterday, they've added new stuff in the documentation. They've added a new tutorial called Golden Path, and I haven't really had a look at it just yet. I just wanted to, I just scrolled down and I had a look at what was the result, like you usually do on YouTube and other places. And this is it right here, so it might be interesting for synchronizing movement. but it seems to be using RCP, so I don't know how efficient that would be for synchronizing movement, but that's the feeling I'm getting. Anyways, brand new project is open. We need to do the initial setup for MLAPI. And we are going to start by having our usual layout that I use for YouTube. Let me just see if I can make it looking good. There we go. Okay. Second step would be to download the MLAPI package, because this one is not included in the package manager as of right now. So under the install MLAPI section, copy the link and just add it. Yeah, so how's everybody doing this morning? I'm actually quite stressed out to go on a live stream. It's been so long, so I don't know how it's gonna go. I have my coffee, and I hope it's gonna carry me through. Fact, you said, hey, this isn't with Photon, is it? No, it's not with Photon. Not at all, actually. We're just using MLAPI, so we're using the new solution that Unity bought recently, and they've made it their official solution. Okay, so we've got the sample scene. Now, I'm already at a crossroad already. Here is where I would want to do a lobby scene instead of a sample scene. So I'm going to create myself a lobby scene, and it's gonna behave as a scene where you just start up the game. You're gonna have two buttons: do you want to host or do you want to connect? I think they did the same thing for the boss room as well. So I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm just gonna do you want to connect or do you want to host? And it's gonna move us to a different piece of UI. So we're gonna stay within the same scene but move to a different piece of UI. So I'll go ahead and create myself a new object, empty game object, the network manager. And if you guys are familiar with the MLAPI, I might do things that makes no sense to you, and if I do, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'm learning this, and I'm a person who learns fast, yes, but I'm ready to be corrected on things like that for sure. And I would appreciate it because I can, do the right thing. So here for the network transport, I did it quite fast, but for network transport, I've decided to use UNet, because I still don't know what the multiplex transport adapter is. It's a different relay layer, right? The relay layer is just like the com.untitled transport that we use on the other tutorial. That's what is taking care of sending your packets and imprinting what type of packet it is. Bro, you need to activate Windows? I'm thinking about it. I had a dream recently where I did activate Windows, and I felt like it was a done task, but it turns out that it was just a dream, dude. It was just a dream. One day I will activate Windows when it's not like $500 to get the version. The funny thing is I had it initially, but then I formatted my computer and I didn't carry on the key, so... And of course I threw away the CD and whatever, I threw away everything. That's what happened when you move too often. Okay, so network manager is in there. I'm going to be looking to create a canvas, actually, a piece of UI. Let's go with a panel. That would be my main screen, actually. And since we're doing things with the UI right away, I know you guys might not like the fact that I'm doing things with the UI right away, but we need to have a way to actually start a session, stop a session, doing things like that right away. And I'm doing the UI just because I want to get rid of it super fast. I really hate doing UI. So two canvas, one is the main, one is the lobby. Lobby is going to be at, for example, 3K on this side. And we're just going to be doing the typical moving with the animation, the animator. So I'll create myself a animation folder. On my canvas, let's open up the window. Animation, oh, it's already down there, cool. that's the lobby animator. My first animation will be the lobby underscore main. And the lobby underscore main will just be the normal, so we're just looking at this in the middle. That's totally fine. Now I'll do a second animation. I'll call it lobby underscore lobby. So my logic here is simple. My scene is lobby, so that's going to be the name of my animation, and then the state in which the UI would be. In here, I have main and I have lobby, and I could have something else, but I don't think I'll need anything else in the lobby, actually. And for my animation, let's hit record. Move this one over to the left side, and move this one in the center screen. Save this. Quick look at the mechanism. I'll get to the comment in a section. I just want to wrap this part up. I'll need some parameter as well. I'll just name it the state of the UI I want it to be in. And main, here we go. Good. So that should be it already for those. MLAPI or Photon, which one is good to use? That's a decade-long question, actually. So it's just opinion. I'll give you my opinion because I guess that's what I do, right? I would go with MLAPI and I would go with the transport layer. Why? Simply because it's thing that Unity supports now. Though it's a very stupid statement to say that. It's very ironic because the thing that Unity used to support are actually dead now in the past, but I'm hopeful for a good future. So like I'm saying this thing right here, knowing that they might as well drop it in 2 or 3 years again, and then we learned all of that for nothing. Oh yeah, you can get a Windows skin on eBay for $2. Yeah, I could actually do that. I could probably do that. Okay, so Muhammad Sahid said, I read about MLAPI on Unity documentation, but I did not understand. It is multiplayer as a whole is actually something quite hard to understand initially. You have to put a lot of time in it. I would just try and enter a little bit of a tutorial hell with those. Maybe just watch a couple of YouTube tutorials, but give yourself a limit. Don't get stuck in the tutorial hell. Will this game support drop in, drop out? Yes. Will it support AI? That, I doubt it. I might move on to another project before I do AI. Okay, so we have these two pieces of UI. I want to get a little bit of work done at the same time, so let me think real quick. I'll need 2 buttons, one for hosting and one for connecting. That'll be my host button. Make that a tad bigger since we're here. And connect, of course. Put that in a vertical layout group, middle center, something like that. Okay. Alright, so I got my host, I got my connect. Now it's time to start doing a little bit of the good stuff, the script. So here's my lobby screen. That's going to be my scene controller. If you've been watching my video, you know that all of my scene have what we call a scene controller. And it's just a script that has the same exact name as the scene, and it's used for mostly UI stuff. So script folder. This is the lobby scene. Can open this one up. So Turkey Jerky said, that's by the way, nice name. He says Unity won't verify MLAPI though until at least 2021.LTS with the latest supported version, which will be a year from now on. That's a good point. but it's also the only the only thing they have going on for multiplayer. Well, they do have the netcode, but netcode was supposed to be released like a long time ago actually, which makes me think. I always refer to this blog post. It was updated in April 2020, like a year from now. Actually, a year from now plus 5 days. And they had a timeline, I believe, in here. Well, no, that's the comment section. Did they remove it? What's next? I get a little bit confused, guys. If you know what I'm about to say, please let me know in the comment section down below. It says UNet and Relay service exist today, but they will be active until 2022. Are they talking about the service they were offering for matchmaking, or are they talking about the actual UNet Relay, like the thing we're using right now today? That thing here, the network transport. UNet transport. Because if they're mentioning that, I don't know what to say. Oh well. So Q2 2021 production quality .netcode. We're targeting production ready quality release in early 2021 for DOTS and UTP, the Unity Transport Protocol. What does that mean? We don't know, but Q2 is pretty much now, right? Okay, back in my lobby scene. I'll be using Mono Singleton. I know I do that in a couple of videos sometime. I want to use Mono Singleton, but I never do because I don't want people to download it. But I actually want to use it really bad because I hate writing crappy singleton. So here's what I'll do. I'll import it from my other project, put it in my script folder, and I'll just open it up in case you guys want to copy. It's a fairly simple script actually. Knowing full well that you're not going to copy it during the live stream, but during the VOD maybe. That's the one I used from a Japanese guy. So, fun fact, the video released recently about doubling your mesh through the simple mesh API Unity offers. I got that code and I got that idea from Unity Japan. I'm actually subscribed to Unity Japan. I'm having quite a lot of fun. They're doing stuff that we don't see here too often. So I decided to actually keep them in my subscription feed and actually have a look at all their video. They do mostly live stream though, so it's a bit hard to understand, but I am picking up a bit of Japanese. Have I released any games by myself? Not really. As a team, I did release a couple of games. So I only have one. I only have one AAA under my belt, but I've been in the industry for quite a long time. What I do on a daily basis is more applications. So the last actual contract I had to do with making a AR application that would just, you would have a editor online and you could create a 3D AR experience, and then the application I would make is on Unity and would play that experience at a specific spot. But in terms of game, no. I think it's about time, right? It's about time I release a goddamn game so I can at least say I've done that. Wait, no, I did release many games on mobile, but I don't consider them to be... I don't know, dude. I don't like talking about my mobile games. They're not really cool. Okay, so that's my lobby scene. I'll do a little bit of peace here for my buttons. You know what? Buttons in here, that will be my main. In here, that will be my lobby state. On main host button. Okay. Same thing for this one. That would be the connect button. And then I would assume that under my lobby states, I would also have a back button. So on lobby back. If you're curious, the AAA I've released was Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and the mobile game I released, they're all on my Google Play, and I don't want to talk about that. Okay, lobby scene is gonna need the animator here, a reference to it. But my push this year is to get started with my survival game, so I'm making good progress in my survival game. I'm hoping I can at least release one game, but that ain't gonna be the one. The survival game is gonna take quite a while to make. It's not gonna be a simple one. Hey, really nice to see you again. Hi Ahmed, thank you for all the comments you do. I really appreciate it. So, we're gonna set a trigger here. When I click on that, I wanna go over to the lobby state. Same thing when I click on connect, but when I click on back, I wanna go back to the main. Now it's time to hook up these buttons, and we're gonna start doing a little bit of multiplayer just after that. So my lobby scene, I have to include my script on the scene, and my animator is right here. And then I would go on the buttons. Yeah, okay. Oh, so on main host button, that one is the on main connect button. So we have this early connection right here. I'm gonna go ahead and just put another one, another button, but this time in the lobby, just for the back button. I still don't know how I'm going to do my layout, to be frank, but something we can figure out as we go, I believe. Hey man, I still remember those mobile tutorial. They were very useful. I'm glad you like them. It seems, if I look at my analytics, that's what people like the most, but it's also something that I want to move away from, because I personally prefer doing something else. I would prefer releasing something on Steam, for example, for PC only. But yeah. Hello, can you make a video on how you plan your game? Yes, I could. I'm actually looking forward to. Oops, that's the wrong one. My bad. Wrong desktop. I'm planning to do something like that. I'm planning to do. I need to keep notes somewhere. I'm planning to make more videos where I just give my opinion. They seem to work better, and it's something that is fun to do for me. So yes, I can make a video on how I plan my game. I just need to take your comment and save it somewhere where I'm gonna remember. So maybe my Discord, why not? There we go. By the way, if you're not on Discord yet, what are you waiting for? You should be in Discord. And let's see. Link is in the description down below. Join Discord. So we have a host, we have a back button, connect. They all do the same thing, they just go from one place to another. But now it's time to actually hook up some mechanic in there, some networking mechanic. One thing that is cool with MLAPI is I can just do a network manager, I believe. And they have a singleton. And I can start directly what I want. So here, start host. And when I connect, same thing, start client. Quick note, start host and start server are not the same thing. Start server would be to create a dedicated server where you're not the player yourself, and hosting would be, hosting is basically starting a client and a server at the same time. Server is just a server on its own. Okay, so that seemed to work over here. I'm gonna add a new button here that's gonna be called on lobby start button. That will actually make you start the game. And I believe if you want to do that, you have to use a network manager or network scene manager. I'm not quite sure. Let me go check the documentation real quick. Oh, scene management. So network scene manager, switch scene. Can only be done on the server, of course. And the scene name will be game in this case. Okay. Let's hook this one up. So lobby scene, on lobby start button. And right away, if we give this a try, and we're gonna have to do that a couple of times during this, I'll make a build. If we give this a try, we should be able to see them being connected together. Ahmed, what am I doing now? I'm working on a LUDO game. LUDO is a game that I enjoyed quite a lot while I was in India. Like, I know it's very popular in India, so a lot of the audience here is also from India. I believe they would enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and it was fun. I used to play that on my phone while I was traveling, and you do know that you travel a lot in India. Okay, so I'll redo my build, but this time around, I want to make sure that it's in window mode so we can see it. Am I making it in 2D or 3D? I'll do it in 3D. How can I make Unity Android games small in size? Well, the first thing you could do is reduce, not reduce, but not include the build for both CPUs or both chip. So I'm gonna host here. Object reference is not set to an object. What's this? Cannot open socket on IP. Please check your network. Okay, so it seems like I'm already using this port. I could be actually. There's chances that I am using this port. So my network manager. I'm gonna use another port, for example, 7788. Redo build. Does this stream? Will this stream be available later? Will this stream be available later in the channel? Yes, it will be. I'm gonna cut out the useless part though, where I just go on tangents. Hopefully. You're correct. The LUDO game is very popular in India. Yes, yes, it is. Okay, so I'm having a null reference exception here, which is. Let's see why that happens. Already with the first problem, let's screw this. Lobby scene on main host button, and when I click on that, I get a null reference on the network manager. That's interesting. Did I not put the network manager? I think I did, right? Here it is. Yeah, so my network manager is right here. And when you start the game up, it goes inside of the don't destroy unload, which makes sense. Maybe we need to keep on configuring the thing here. I didn't really take any time to add a prefab, for example, a network prefab here. Or let's see. No, my network manager is here. It should work technically. I'll give this a quick reboot, and I'll go kill my other instance I have on the other screen. I'm running too many desktop at this time. Oh, I was running a build of something I've done yesterday. I was running a build here, so that might be why. Let me just delete that, close off Steam so you don't see all my games. There we go, it should be clean on this desktop. Let's move on. Will I make the project available? Yeah, you know what? Let's do that right after this this stream. Actually, I'll put it in my GitLab. If you guys want to follow my GitLab, that's actually where I wanted to post things from now on. So, some of you might have realized that the website is actually down. I'm making a new technology for the website again. My side job right now, well, not my real job right now, has to do with web dev, so I'm making myself a whole platform in there, and I'll switch my website to that. Until then, all the assets are on the GitLab. They're right here. They don't need any subscription, so they're all public, and I'll do that with the LUDO game as well. Okay, let's give this a try. Let's see if it works. Okay, so we really have an issue with the null reference here. You know what? I'll give itself a new player prefab just in case it does something. I am not expecting this to work 100% of the time though. I'll be frank. Chances are there's going to be some bug or I'm going to be stupid. This is probably a case where I'm stupid. Let's do player controller. Real quick, I'm creating myself a script for every single player. They're gonna have a script called player controller, and it's gonna be a network object. I'll use that as some kind of, not singleton for the player, but some way to manipulate everything related to a single player's action. I'll take that, put it on the prefab folder, which does not exist. Let's do that. And it's going to be a network prefab. So there's a notion here that some of the prefab, you can have them as normal prefab, but some of them you can put them under net prefab. So they are synchronized across the network, and the player controller is going to be one of them. You see that it works now, just because now I have a player prefab. I don't get it. But yes, so the project will be available. Can you make some web dev videos? My audience wouldn't like that, would they? Maybe they would. If it's related to games, I would definitely do it. But I'd have to find something that is related to games. So I have some crazy ideas. It just takes so much time to implement, and I would need some help making them. So for example, for my survival game, I'd love to be able to have, for example, a Discord bot that would join a game session and stream inside of the game. Like, the bot would have a graphical output and he could stream where players are. That would be a crazy idea. I'd love it. You enable player spawn, but you didn't have any player prefab. Maybe that caused an issue. You knew it. You knew it right away. I should have asked. But yeah, good call. So, right, going back to see if this works. So I'll be hosting on one side, connecting on the other, and then technically if I hit start there, oh, the scene is not registered as a scene. Okay, well, that's too bad. Let's try again. So I'll need a game scene, and I will also need to create a game scene. Okay, yeah, that would make sense. So my goal here was to just switch scene and see if it would work on the client side as well. So let me create a game scene, input just the camera in there maybe, and add it to the build. There we go. Oh, make sure also that I boot at the lobby and not the game. Yeah. Like learn React in 1 hour or Node.js. I know a game for blind called STW. It's the server world. Can you make it with screen, not just audio? Can you make it screen, not just audio? Yeah, no, so that's what I'm trying to do, right? So, well, I'm not trying to do, but that's the idea that I had, is that you could have, for example, on your hosting machine, on your dedicated server, you could have a graphical output and actually connect your Discord bot to it. And as you connect your Discord bot, you stream that, right? So the bot, the server would have a camera that would fly around, not like a player. It would be like selecting places with high interest. It would fly there and stream that in Discord while players are moving on the floor. That would be cool. Okay, so let's do the test here. Hosting, connect, and I'm gonna boot here, and this goes in the game scene, and here this is also in the game scene, so they are connected. I believe you could also tell by the console if I have that open. No? Okay, no, I guess there's nothing in the console, probably because my log level is on normal, should be on dev while we're doing this, please. It's called Survive the Wild. In UTP, we can run client and server in one utilizer. Can we do the same here? Yes, Sasha. Sorry, I'm having issues pronouncing your name, but yes, you can actually do that. That's what they mean here when they say host. So when you start a host, what technically happens is that you start both a server and the client. Some Ludo game in the Play Store are not really random when rolling the dice. I mean, sometimes the face don't even seem to have the same odds. Huh. Okay, so we launched the game scene. Well, technically the lobby isn't completely done either. Let's work on the lobby a tad bit here. I'd like to be able to see who connects, and maybe even change the name if we can. So I'll create myself a new piece of UI once more, and it's actually a 4-player game, if I recall properly. Yes, it is a 4-player game. So what I'll do, I'll make a square, I believe. Yeah. Give it some margin, like so. And it would be the player list. Inside of the player list, I would love to be able to spawn a prefab every time somebody joins. So, for example, a new image, maybe? It could be anything, really. And that would be, for example, player 1, player 2, 3, 4. And have them positioned in a grid layout. Like so. The start would be upper left. I wish the start would be the center, actually. In terms of constraint, I wanna have constraint on, you know, you can have a maximum of 2 rows or something like that. Oh yeah, so fixed column count could be 2. Would look like this. And let's see if I can make the anchor in the middle. I can't, huh? Well, that sucks. However, what I could do is decide how big these are going to be. For example, they could be 300 by 300. And then that would give me 350, 650, 650, like this. And that's the center. So my goal is, as the player joins, they're going to have their own square here in the middle. So for that to happen, I'll need 2 things. A prefab to spawn, so private game object player list prefab, player list item prefab. And here that would be the container. So for the container, that's going to be a transform player list container. I don't know why I didn't put the capital L here, actually. There we go. Okay. So a new player object when he joined could be, I'm using image here, but it really could be anything, yeah? Let's do an image for the moment. That would be a player list item. I'm gonna put that on the prefab, but maybe not the network version of a prefab. Hey, what's up? Any idea if MLAPI has a network discovery component like UNet? Network discovery, is that the NAT punch through thing? Let me know, I actually don't know what you mean by that. So this player list item is now saved. I could go under my lobby scene and just add these two new items. Now my goal will be that once a player joins, I would like to just create a prefab for him and put it under the player list container. And I don't know how to do that just yet. So one thing that I know from LAPI is that when a player joins, he can have a prefab spawn for him. And that prefab in this case would be the player controller that I've made earlier. Now in here, I do have a function that I can override, if I recall properly, under network behavior, I believe. Behavior. Yeah, okay. Under here, there is a function called network start. And when that is called, I can instantiate a new object. Now, how do I instantiate stuff? They have a place for that. Just like this, okay? So game object instantiate my prefab. Prefab is a thing in the lobby, so I believe lobby scene instance. Well, first it's private, so I'm gonna make sure to switch that. Player list item prefab. That's the name. And then we do go get component network object spawn, but I want to be spawning it as somebody else. If I spawn it as let me check real quick. So I want to be able to destroy this with the owner. So if the person leaves the lobby before we start the game, I need to be able to destroy this object. Which makes me think maybe that object needs to be a network object as well. Alright. I'll go hit the restroom real quick, I'll think about it. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Salut à tous. Bonjour, what's up everybody? Yeah, I was thinking about things. I think I'm a professional. I'm a professional person. No, I'm a professional thinker out loud. Yes, that's what I do. That's what I managed to figure out while I was in the restroom. Yeah, so from what I've read, and I ran into this problem yesterday as I was doing my small demo just to practice, only the server is allowed to spawn stuff, which would mean if the server is the one to spawn stuff, if I hit spawn over here, it becomes his object. So they have an overload called spawn with ownership. And by doing that, then you can say things like, hey, okay, well, spawn it as this person's ID. So I believe that's network manager instance, no, singleton, local client ID, yeah. But that didn't work. That's where I was stuck at yesterday. So let me see that. I'm gonna go in the console and have a look at what it says. Quick question, are you guys on coffee all the time? Oh, my build failed because it was already running. I'm curious about everybody's coffee consumption. Yeah. Just like to know if my body is normal or not. That'd be good. Smash the like button, everyone. You're right. You got them right. Smash that like button. Let's see. So I got an issue here where player controller didn't work because I did not have the network object. So my player controller would have to become a network object, and here it is there, right? That's odd. Player controller has a network behavior. This one has a network object, and I get a null reference on the player list prefab. Maybe? No, it's right there as well. What if I just hit spawn? Whoop. J'en profite pour te remercier. J'ai beaucoup appris depuis 2013 ou 2015. J'ai publié 4 ou 5 jeux. Merci pour tout. Hey, c'est génial, c'est génial. Ça m'a super heureux d'entendre ça. Puis j'espère que ça va. J'espère que tu as une carrière avec ça. Puis t'as bien du plaisir. Merci pour le commentaire. So it's another one of these bugs where I'm not sure what's going on. So I do it when I call network.start, I believe it doesn't have the network manager at that point. I'm just hosting, so technically it would start the server first and then the client. And I see that it, oh my god, okay. Huh, I left the player controller in here, that's why. That's kind of stupid. My bad about that. Delete it. It has to be created when the game starts. So when I hit, when there is a start client happening, then the object is created. And I see that 2 objects are actually created. So the player controller, that's fine. That's what I want to see initially. And then the player list item is created. What's up, peeps? So we know the instantiate happens because I saw the object. The object is right here. But maybe it's... Oh, right. Okay, no, I'm stupid. I'm completely stupid here. My bad. So what happened is that I do a get component on the object I've created, and there's no network component on this one, which makes me realize that this player list item will have to be a net prefab as well. So we're going to have... I wonder if we're going to have a script for this one, or we can just leave it as is. But for sure, it's going to need a network object on top of it. That's a kind of issue that usually I don't waste so much time on, but since there's a little bit of pressure with the stream, I tend to just have a couple of more minutes to figure out things. Okay, so we're right here. We have the player list item. Network object is there as well. And that works because it's me, right? But if it's somebody else, I believe it's not gonna work because that other person will not be the host, and by not being the host, we might run into an issue where you're not allowed to spawn. If that's what I remember properly from last time I tried this. So for example, this is gonna be the host. I'm gonna be, yeah, yes, I want to allow that, thank you. Then connect. Already have some issue. Only server can spawn network object. Okay, so that's where we have to pull out our small knowledge about RPCs. And I believe as we were doing the tutorial last time on the channel, we had an RPC. Basic RPC use. Here it is, and I believe it was called server RPC. There it is. So I'll copy over this code, put it under my player controller. Include the server RPC. We're gonna need the following. So it's gonna be private void spawn player list item. And we'll do this. So we'll spawn the object in here. Huh. Yeah. One thing I want to do as well, since I'm here, is the following. Go back on my scene, turn both of these into public objects, save them, and make sure I set the parent as well. So go transform parent is the lobby scene instance, and it's gonna be player list container. And then we can do a get component spawn. But not only that, I want to spawn but actually set that as the local player ID. So local client ID. So here was the code. Have to figure this one out right here. So this code is not running the RPC, I believe, is it? No, so that's submit new position, would be done here. So that's client side code. So over here, this is cool. This spawns it, and it could be spawning it for the right person, or actually spawn player list item. Spawn player list item. Let's do private void ask, or should we do ask or request spawn player list, something like that. Maybe when we request a spawn player list, we are going to be calling the RPC, yes, with our ID. Maybe could we do that? RPC server parameters. So let's do the following. I haven't done that before, by the way, so I'm just trying to figure it out. So new server RPC params. What does it take? Receive send. That I still don't know how to do. So what I would like to do is just send over as a parameter over here. I'd like to be able to send over just my ID, I believe. Or you know what would be even better? I believe if we turn this square here inside of if we turn it into a network object, I believe it would synchronize things together. Maybe that would do it. If I'm able to do that, then I'm able to do the whole game. So like the whole principle and everything we need is actually all stuck in there. I just need to unlock this small piece of knowledge on how to synchronize one prefab. So maybe what I need to do is take another approach and really just go over to the player list, and that player list becomes a prefab. I'll drop that here, add the network object to it. Oh, I didn't have it in there as well, so let's go ahead and include both. So the player list and the player list items. Now this should be owned by the server, technically. But would it be there? I don't think it would be there initially. So maybe I have to delete it and create it when I join as the server. That could be it. So here, I'll give it a try. I'll delete that. Ça va, on apprend tous les jours. Je cherche à faire du multiplayer depuis longtemps, mais à chaque fois, à la fin, je n'ai pas les connaissances pour finaliser l'hébergement en fait, ou où mettre mon serveur en fait. Écoute, on va en faire une vidéo là-dessus bientôt. Là. Il y a beaucoup de requêtes par rapport à ça, fait que je vais marquer une note et je vais faire ça. Ça devrait être dans le mois. Marquer une note pour de vrai. Est-ce que je me trouve un papier crayon? Mon sel, parfait. Good. So this month I should have a video saying how to upload your game online through a Linux instance. I'm not going to do Windows because it's not really efficient. There's not a lot of things that runs on Windows in terms of game server. Activate Windows. Thank you. I will one day. I promise. One day. For the moment, I don't have any intent on doing that. Very sorry to tell you. Okay, so on the network start, that's my player controller. If I am the host, so if his host or his server, maybe? His host. If I am the host, then we're gonna go ahead and instantiate. So take the same code as I have down here, all of that. So we're gonna instantiate a player list. Spawn it, and that's only if I'm the host. So technically, I believe this should be propagated to the other people as well, if my guess is correct. And I would just put that in comment because it's giving me some error. You know what, Legendize? It became such a meme that I haven't activated Windows that I don't think I will ever at this point. That's gonna be my my brand. My watermark is actually to activate Windows. If you see a video out there and you think it's my voice, it's not on my channel, but you see the activate Windows, you know that it's me. So report that. Let me know. So so that hasn't been assigned. Perfect. Let me go ahead and do that. Player list item. If you're curious at what I'm trying to do right here, I'm just trying to synchronize. When people join, I want to have their face out there. I just want to synchronize that. And then I'm gonna do a quick mechanic just to get ready before I jump into the actual, you know, when you're on the board and you play. I'm gonna do a small mechanic after that regarding changing the name of that player before we jump in the game. Okay, so let me do hosting here, I believe. And I would connect. And there's a player, actually too many player lists. Why is there that many player lists? That's odd. That's really odd. It shouldn't have that many player lists in there. So we'll go and we'll have a look at that through this side. So there's one player list. Yeah, that's good. That player list will be put under when I get this to work, is going to be put under the canvas. So it's right there. We're going to create a parent for it. Yeah, and then when somebody joins, see a new player list pops up, which is odd. I don't know why a new player list would pop up. Okay, that's going to be my container. My container will be stored under the lobby scene. There we go. Now when I spawn this thing, I can put it under the player list container. Now I'm making sure, is this the host? If it is, then yes, we do it. So is host. Only one person is allowed to be the host. Would it be better to do is owned by server? Yeah, sure. So if this is owned by the server, then we're spawning something that's going to be the server, so it's going to be only for the server. And I believe since I'm spawning on the server, when I do spawn, it goes to his ID. Later on, when I request the little item instead of the list, that's going to be owned by somebody else, and I can do spawn with different ownership. Okay. Parent of right transform is being set with parent property. Consider using the set parent. Oh, is that illegal? Am I not allowed to do that? Using the set parent with the world position stays set to false. Okay, alright, that would fix my issue. What I was really trying to test out here though was, is there another player list being spawned? That would be unfortunate. That ain't the goal. Okay, cool. So we have it. It's in the center. And then once we connect somebody else, another player controller is made. Is there another list? No. Good. Okay. That worked. So for some reason, if I ask if this is the host, it gives me 2 objects. But if it's owned by the server, then it's okay. It's only 1. So this could be considered as server-side code only, and his host for some reason worked on both sides. Okay. If it's not owned by the server, actually, for everybody else after that, I want to spawn an object that is owned by that very specific person who just joined. So let me do another instantiate. Instead of instantiating the player list prefab, we'll do the player list item prefab. We'll set its parent to the player list container get child at the index 0. And we'll spawn with ownership. And that's going to be the network manager instance, no, singleton, local player ID. Good. This would not work, I just realized. Because I'm asking to spawn with ownership, but from a client, another client. So how could we go and do that? Well, first I need to test out something. So maybe when I join, what I really need to do is ask through an RPC to spawn that object. Oh. So connect. Only server can spawn the object. Okay, so here he sees it, right? So the server has these two, but the player doesn't. That's very unfortunate. Something else that bothers me is the fact that this one ran actually. This code ran on the server when another player joined. So I have to think of a couple dimensions here. What if we actually leave it all in here? If I take this piece of code and I just put it inside of the is owned by server, like so. So I would create that, okay. But if that's the case, it would also mean that this has been created twice. So I didn't see that last time, but I didn't really look for it, so I guess. Let me host. We have one player list inside of this, and then I join. We also only have one player list. Hi Syed, how are you doing in this morning? Or I guess nighttime for you. So it's simple. I want to create, okay, so let's think about that. I want to create an object when somebody joins, and I want to make sure it's his object, not mine, which would mean when somebody joins, I need to know his ID. I don't get that through the network start, or at least I don't think I do. But I do get multiple network start being fired as the server. So an RPC would be a good way to approach this problem. Now, I do know that there is something happening here. When I look at the hello world sample, is host, is server, that's good. Okay, network get type name, no, that's not it. Here, so try get value. So I could get that specific thing, that specific player controller object, and do a get component and then spawn it like that. Would it be possible for me to just have that code run every time somebody joins as well? Like for example, let's do server RPC spawn player list item, and straight up just call this. So this way it's being ran on the server and only the server all the time. The server RPC must end with the server RPC suffix. What does that even mean? Okay, I'll go Google this one. I have no clue what it means. Function name. Okay, some function names must end. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so server RPC like that. They don't allow me to name my function. Oh, sorry, the way I want it. But I guess that is fine. But it's actually odd. I never actually see them like enforcing something like that prior. Okay, so of course it's gonna work on the server for sure. Let's hope it works on the client side. Love you, brother. Thank you so much, Rox. The kind comments are what keeps me going after whatever happened with the last channel. Connect. Only the owner can invoke a server RPC that requires ownership. Only the owner can invoke a server RPC that requires ownership. How does that require ownership though? I'm curious to see the error message on the other side. Might be doing that quite often, actually booting it on both sides so I can see what it looks like on the client. So this would be my host, client. Only server can spawn networked object. Yeah, I'm not trying to spawn a network object though. I'm trying to ask you to spawn a network object. That's why this is a server RPC. Let's have a look at how they did it in the example. So if we are not the server, so if it's the server here, network manager is server. If that was the case, then we would do blah blah blah. And if it's not the case, you would submit a position request server RPC. So you would call the server RPC. And then position value would be set here. But it's not a spawning, so I get what they're trying to say here. So how would I spawn something then? So the approach I tried taking is that every time that somebody else joins, I would like to ask the server to spawn something. Let me see if I can find that in documentation, so whenever somebody joins. Well, this is a bit more complex than I expected. I wish I had a little bit more knowledge in that, because this simple issue, if I get through it, then everything works. Because I can do the spawning of all the LUDO pieces like that. The rolling of the dice could be done through network variables, and we'd be good to go. Just have to figure this one issue out. So, player controller, when is this ran exactly? The network start, I wonder if it's being ran more than once. So let's do, we do debug.log with the network manager singleton local ID. So I know when who actually runs this. And I'm curious to see if as a host I'm getting this on my machine, if this is being running on my machine as well when somebody else connect after I connect. So that's 0 right here. When I hit connect, this is not being ran, which is funny because earlier what happened is that I saw 2 of these, right? Isn't this network start called for all player controllers? Maybe you have to check if it's your local player controller and only call it. Yeah, so that logic, I understand, and I think it's better the way you've said it. So yeah, so if it's my local, so for example, if is local player, and in this case, if it is the host, is server, then this is server side code being run only once. Run only once. Now, if it's my local player only, let's do else if statement actually. Then here, I would like to request my server to spawn an object for every single one of these, but I can't do it in an RPC. I cannot spawn something in an RPC, which leaves me a bit confused here. So I'll try to go in and from the example they gave me earlier, submit new position. Okay, we can take a different approach. I had an idea. If I am not the server, so if not, because that's an else statement, if I'm not the server, let me call the actual server. So could I do server client ID? Yeah, so connected client, try get value, that's going to be not the local client ID but the server client ID. I'll get the value, so the out network client value, and I'll just do the following. I'll spawn something. It's such a weird way to do things. There has to be more efficient, but you know what? I just want to get this through so we can move on to something a little bit more interesting. So if the player exists, which it will because it's the, it's the server. Server player controller. We're gonna do the following code, so instantiate something. This actually, that's what we're gonna instantiate. Which reminds me, I can't do that here because I need to run it even if it's the server. So even though we are the server, we're going to be running this piece of code like so. We will spawn with ownership of my local client ID, which is not the server in this case. Okay, that would make sense. That would make sense. It's a bit of an ugly piece of code. I'll look to reiterate on that. And when I think about reiterating, when I think, hey, this piece of code is crap, I put the $$ so later on when I have some free time I can just search for that in my project and go there and rethink this piece of code. But from what I'm guessing right here, it's gonna work, hopefully. Thanks, Ripfake. You've been helping me quite a lot understand this API this morning. So that being said, let's give it a test. When I host, I see it here. When I connect, I see it here as well. Now this guy, this guy didn't do anything, and I realized that now I have 2 player lists. Yeah, that's kind of crap. Why do I have 2 player lists this time? Let's have a look. This is owned by the server. Okay. Now, technically, this would run. I would have that. This code is also run. Spawn with ownership. Yeah. So why does it not show is my question. I'll go ahead and I'll run the client in the editor so I can see what happens. So now this is the host, client is here. Only server can spawn network object. I'm fine with that. Yeah. Can I make this RPC public and actually call this instead? So if the server player controller, I'll do that dot spawn player list as RPC. Thanks God the build aren't too long. That'd be annoying if it was. So it does mention that only the player can spawn network object. Line 18 is being spawned. Is owned by server. Yeah, that should not be ran though. Meanwhile, this guy works quite well. Okay, so MLAPI spawn example. Interesting. So I'll need a completely different approach here if this one is not working. My biggest issue right now is I don't completely understand the flow of the network start when it's being called, and especially by whom. So it seems to be a lot of people calling this thing. So I'm going to say network start. And I'll also put some more value next to it, like is owned by server. What else could we do? We could do is the server, and also is the client. So everything is true for this guy. It is local client ID. It is owned. Well, this is 0. This is true. We are a server and we are a client. Okay, that's understandable. So everything is true for this guy. If I boot it as another person though, what do we get? True, false, true. So true, false, true. Why is the first one true? We are owned by server. The player controller that is being spawned is owned by the server. But the player controller is my default player prefab. I would assume that this one has a default ownership of whomever spawned. It makes things very, very complicated actually. And the ID is 2. So my local ID is 2, but this object that is the player controller, the player object, it's not mine. So the owner of that object would be the server? How could this be? It's a real plot twist. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's gonna be so much thing that I have learned from just testing stuff out in MLAPI. I'm gonna have to make videos about it, but once I completely fully grasp the way that they think, because I would assume, and I might still be wrong, but I would assume that the object that they spawn for you is yours, but the owner is actually 0. Okay, so that would just that's the big mess in my logic right here. That's the reason why I've been struggling for so long. The owner of the object is not the owner. So how about we start this way, right? How about we say, hey, let's go with my logic instead. I like it better. So the game object, the network object of this thing, let's put it on a field. So the network object, this object, get component type of network object. This object, change ownership to myself. Thank you. So network manager in a singleton local client ID. There we go. I wonder if this is being done on the same frame though. Probably not, because it has to ask the server to change the ownership. Oh, that sucks. That actually sucks quite a lot. It's kind of weird because we haven't tested it out, but if we quit the game, is this player controller object deleted? That might answer a lot of my question actually, if it is. Okay. Network start 0. The owner is now 2. So it was done on this frame. Oh no, sorry, I ran the debug.log prior. And that's what confused me the most then, because for the server, the owner is 2. The owner is actually there. Which this time around, crap. This time around it ran twice, so when I connected afterward, we had the statement being called again. God damn it, this is becoming really, really confusing. So, all right, I'll do the last test. Because I'm getting tired of this piece here. The last test is going to be, do I get this debug.log twice? If I do, then I'm okay. Like, technically I can branch out from there. Okay, so network start being called here. I have an object, I am the owner of it, and then another object comes in, and 0, because local client ID is 0, it is myself, right? So I'm still running this, that's totally fine, good. Next up, the owner is 2, so we know the owner is somebody else in us. And then false means I am not the owner of that, so somehow now the object belongs to that person, but only through the site of the server. Is it owned by the server? So OS, is it being owned by the server? No, it's not being owned by the server. And then is server and is client is only for myself, so therefore this makes no sense. The only important part is technically is the local client ID is equal to the client owner client ID. Okay, local client ID is equal to that, then yes, that would be my object. That's the way I would go around and check. From now on, all the network behavior, if I want to know if it's my object, it's going to be that. Hello, Jayden. How do you do this morning? I keep saying this morning, but you're from India, so how do you do at this time of the day? First time watching the stream? Yeah, I mean, I stream maybe once a year, so you're in luck. If you have any question, you can ask them directly. I'm right here. Is owned by server. This is owned by the server. We run this. We have the first screen. That's totally good. And then I would need to run if I am the server. Here what we'll do is server. If I am server, then I'm gonna go ahead and just spawn that. I'd feel really dumb if that's all I had to do, to be frank. I'm a front-end developer and I start learning Unity and C# 3 days ago. That's good for you, man, and you're gonna have a lot of fun here. It's much different than web dev, but it's it can be quite fun. What am I trying to do exactly? I think I missed that part. Maybe you can help me out, Rip. So this screen over here is some sort of a lobby, right? So when people would join, I want to display some information about them. So for example, this is the host right here. Then another player would join, he would be right there next to him. And then a third player would join. And I want to make sure that I spawn an object every time that these players join. But it's not the player prefab. The player prefab is somewhere else. I just want to spawn a simple object from them, but I keep running into weird it's not weird because I just don't understand it thus far. But I keep running into issues where I'm having trouble figuring out how many times network start is being ran. Now I just realized that network start is being ran for everybody. No, for every time that somebody else joins on the server. So I'm just looking for an alternative, really. I just want to spawn an object every time that somebody joins. So what I've done is I've said, okay, so this only needs to be spawned once, right? This is the container of the list. I just want it to be spawned by the owner of the server. And then inside of it, I want to check if you are the server. That's the new stuff I've done. When you are the server, I want to spawn a specific object for you with not the local client ID in this case, but the owner ID. So here. I'll remove the fact that it's an RPC. I don't need that to be an RPC. I'm running that on the client side. It's a U long, okay. So it's funny because they keep the structure here. Huh. No, I would like to spawn it on the network, so I'd like that to be networked twice. I don't want to spawn it locally. But yes, it's only UI, but I still want it to be networked in this case. But I'm getting closer. I feel like I'm getting closer. Closing that. It's quite painful sometimes, especially when it comes to networking async stuff. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, that's why we're here today, right? I'm trying to figure things out, and I'm really happy that some people in chat are helping me too. Videos are definitely going to be coming out of that. I wanna make a lot of MLAPI videos because I think it's really fast. I think you can get started really fast. I seen the power of it, right? You just have a look at the documentation. You can tell that you can start a multiplayer game really fast. But I need to put my anchor down on a couple of concepts. So, you know, when you get those concepts down, just like I have so many for when I'm making a single player game, if I'm able to get a lobby system down that I can reuse after that, we can spin up so many games so like really fast. I just, you know, there's a knowledge part that needs to be gathered first before I do that. And I don't want to jump into YouTube with stupid information. Okay, so here it's looking a little bit better here. So I do spawn an object, but it's not being sent over to this guy, or maybe it is, but I don't know. Ooh, that could be the wild card. Let me have a look. You used Photon yesterday and it was easy to wrap your head around? Yeah, I bet. Photon is also very easy to get your head around. It's, however, not a solution supported directly by Unity, so I'm hesitant to go and do something with it. Okay. So, Ripfake, if I had something to ask from you, if you're trying to help, it's this, right? This is my host on the right hand side. It spawned 2 different objects. And it spawned them because it entered his server pod right here. Spawn player list item. But somehow, my client side, this one, also runs into this issue. Because it's trying to spawn as well. It's... Oh my god, it's not even the same thing. God. Crap. I'm thinking about getting into networking in Unity more since I will have more free time soon. It's a good thing, hey, especially during COVID, you know, picking up a little bit of that multiplayer stuff. I was doing a bit of web dev previously and kind of nervous since it's probably not as financially stable. Web dev is extremely, I don't want to say profitable and I don't want to say stable because, okay, so here's what I say. There's a lot of competition with web dev and there's a lot more demand. So the market is very huge for web dev. Everybody is going to need some sort of web app eventually, or not that they're going to need, but they all want some web app versus making video game, for example. Your chances of landing a job as a consultant for web or a consultant or a developer or front-end developer or back-end developer or DevOps or a pipeline engineer, all of that is much higher than landing a job in video games. However, the competition is getting really scarce, so you have to stand out. So many web devs are up and coming, and you can outsource a lot of it through other countries. Sometimes the result you get from other countries are doing contract work with a contractor is not always the one you'd like to have, so people tend to hire web dev in-house. But a lot of people get by just by hiring people on Fiverr to do their website or to do their web app. Yeah. Mustafa says, don't forget to add a button to be the AI so AI can't take over the world. You gotta be careful about that, you're totally right. So you want to spawn the container locally for every client and then network the actual object spawn, the list item. So the container is already being spawned for everybody. Yes, I want to spawn the container for everybody, for every client. But no, okay, so here's the thing, Ripfake. Maybe it makes no sense the way I wrote my code right now, but I want this container to be spawned for everybody. So when they join the lobby scene, it's there because the host has created it. So that's why I left that in here is owned by the server. And then network the actual object spawn, the list item. Yes, in that case, you could check if it's a local player, spawn the container, and then if the server spawned the list, but network. Okay, so I don't fully understand why you would want to spawn the UI container over the network. Shouldn't the UI container be local to the client? Yeah, initially that's how I made my code, but I was under the impression that if I spawned the container as a network object, it would synchronize anything beneath it. But that might be that's probably a wrong statement. Now that you point out your logic, so yeah. Let me retract that logic so it's a little bit clearer to understand. That's my lobby, that's my player list container. My player list is in here and will now be placed there. With that in mind, I'm going to remove the network object on top of it and it's going to be left out. It's no longer a network component. I can come over here and remove it from my list as well of network object. It's now no longer a network component and I can remove it completely from places. There we go. Okay, so this used to be the code for spawning that object. It is now gone because everybody has it, right? Now, if I am the server, I want to spawn a player list item and give that person ownership. So the owner client ID. This would technically make sense, I think. I was doing not financially stable. Wait, hold on. Fix that and then I'll read the comment. No, I mean, I want to take networking and Unity more seriously. I do have experience in backend stuff, which I think will help. Yes, it will, definitely. I actually remember doing some of your old tutorial a few years ago, so I've been slowly learning. I blame you for getting me into the madness of networking in games. Yes, I am very sorry about that. It's something that I am fully guilty of and I will gladly take as well. Though, you know, I have a lot of learning to do. Like, as you can see right here, I have no clue how the MLAPI works, but once I figure it out, I'll put down some anchors and, you know, it's gonna be great. Okay, so we got it out of bound. Children is out of bound here. What is this guy's problem? Because I did a get child. That's what happened. There we go. Remove that. But yeah, I'll take that as a compliment that I got you into hell. Why not? Let's host. This is here. Connect. Now this works good. Okay. We got back to the same result. However, I'd like to see what happens on the client side for the console. I would really expect that doing a network object.spawn with ownership would actually, you know, it would do it. It would create that object and create it on the client side as well. And maybe it does. Maybe it does. I just don't see it. God damn it! It really does. Now I'm mad. I'm actually quite angry. It's right there. It's just it's not inside of the. It's not inside of the object, that's why I don't see it. It's all there. Yep. Yep. Of course, we have one issue. the fact that there's 3 of these items. God knows why. You're not sure if the parent is also transferred over to the network. Yeah, no, it's not. We just saw that it's not being transferred. Well, this line of code, of course, is not. Now, if I have another question to ask you is how do I select this object from this point and actually put it where it should be? So when I host on this machine and I just connect, we end up with 3 items, but we also have an error. It says an item with the same key has been added. Yes, but inside of what exactly? And who is calling this code? Spawn network object locally. And do notice that they also have different position, which is kind of weird because it seems like it also sends the position somehow. It is indeed weird, but also cool. Let's look at the internet, see if they have anything to say about that. MLAPI spawning example UI there. Spawn in team multiplayer, blah blah blah. Custom, how to make multiplayer game in Unity. I looked at this one, didn't get any idea what it did. Any object in the scene with network object component will automatically be replicated in MLAPI. There is no need to manually spawn them. There are 2 modes that define how scene objects are synchronized: soft sync and prefab sync. So, Ripfei asked, is there any specific reason why you would want to spawn the list item over the network? What would be the other way to have the mechanic I'm looking for? So what would be the other way to just... when I'm in the lobby as a host or as a client, what would be the other way to just see? Like in this screen here, I have the same result on the client side as well. I'm just wondering if there's something I could do here. Since I'm here, I'm also gonna say that this object has to be destroyed when I switch scenes. Open your code again, then I will try to explain. Yeah, here's my piece of code. I'll go grab some water. Thank you for your help, by the way. So network start is called for every player on the server and also on the client. So you could add check inside network start if local player spawn list item. I see. So I don't have to. Okay, I see what you're saying. So when I start, if it's a local player, spawn a list item. But locally without the network. Okay, so it does cause one issue though. There's one issue I want to do. Just do it every time. I'll give it a try. I'm not sure if it's gonna if it's exactly what I like, but I'll give it a try definitely. So I'll do everything I do initially, but I'm just not going to spawn with ownership. I'm not going to do a network item, as you've mentioned. So, okay, something I understood from what you said is that network start is called for every player on the server and also on the client. But network start is not called every time somebody joins though, right? So if I host here, I have the prefab, then so okay. To try and explain my point I'm trying to make here is I'll boot 3 client total. This would be the host, this would be number 2, and this would be number 3. Okay, no way, it does do it. Okay, I see it. So when somebody else joins, network start is also being called for the client. So this function is gonna run every time somebody joins. This is fucking crazy. Damn. Why? Okay, so all I'll need to figure out thus far is just a way to synchronize the existing scene with that. So let's do since those are not network items, they're not going to be synchronized, and that's the part where I'm a bit confused. Though it does give me a good idea on how this works. So what you said earlier helped me out quite a lot. So network start is called for every player on the server and also in the client, but on top of that, it's being called every time somebody else joins. So it's not just a start, right? The definition of start would be, well, my definition of start would be just like the Unity callback does. So you start and it only is called once when you enable that object. This game is so popular in India, I don't know why, but many indie wants to make a LUDO game. I know. I don't know why it was so popular. I was in the Play Store when I was in India. I was in the Play Store, and that's the only thing I saw was like LUDO King and then like 3 other ripoff. Cannot find pending soft object. Cannot spawn null object. Pending soft object. Cannot find pending soft object. So could it be trying to synchronize the scene right now? And could it be trying to spawn these objects? Yeah, LUDO was made in India. LUDO is actually not LUDO. I looked it up earlier. LUDO is actually something called Pachisi. This game was made a long time ago, and then from that point on you have the Sorry and LUDO, the westernized version. This is the same game basically, but it's the more US version, you could say. Okay. Do I still have... Yes, I do have the... That's why. You're completely correct. Yes, I do have the network object. So that's why it's trying to do a soft synchronization, maybe, yeah? But that leaves me a bit perplexed though, Ripfake, because while this is good, it's gonna run every time somebody joins, it doesn't synchronize with the state of the it doesn't synchronize with the state from earlier. So you know, my second player and my third player is not going to be able to see who is already in the lobby. How the hell did I create a new scene? My bad. So here, I'll be hosting, then I'll connect. Those prefab are made locally. What? What the hell? Why does that even work? Ah, you see, now I'm even more confused. God damn, I wish I could know why this worked right now. Nothing is networked in that. I don't call this function, I just call a normal instantiate on an object that is not synchronized on the network. Why did that work? I hate this. Okay, you know what? I'll go grab a piece of paper. Alright, boys and girls, what did we learn today? We learned that the network start is actually quite hard to understand, but I have a better grasp on it. We have a lot of tests done. And since I'm here, I'm also going to rate all the ideas that... oh yeah, if you're in the chat right now and you wish to see videos about MLAPI, oops, sorry. I have to understand how it works, but when I do, I'll make a video for you, okay? So please go ahead and give me a suggestion while I have the piece of paper in the hand. So one thing that we've discussed earlier is that we need to be able to host. So right, dedicated host is a video that I'll try and get done by the end of the month. So dedicated hosting. To be frank, we spent like an hour figuring out how the network start to work. Thank you so much, RipFake. It helped me out a lot. I know we're not done, right? I know we're definitely not done, but I have to, like, this thing was not easy for me to understand, and I looked at a lot of stuff. So I want to make a video explaining how the network start work, and I'll put it in an actual example, not just talk. So that completely messed me up, but okay. We also had another idea. It's written somewhere on my phone, but it's kind of locked at the moment. Crap. Summit said, so MLAPI is the next thing coming in the coming days for Unity. Yeah, so it seems to be locked in for as being the official solution for multiplayer, and I can see. I don't want to say I can see why, because the other solution were also good to a certain extent, but it's decent. I mean, it's working well, I guess. They made game with it. The games that they showcase that have been made with it are decent as well. I don't think it's made to do like a game like Battlefield, where you have 64 people on each side and they're fighting each other. Or for something a little bit low scale, that'd be good. Yeah, exactly. So basically network start is like the normal start, but for network stuff, and since all the players are spawned on all client, it is called on all client and for every player. So the big point that I have to illustrate here from my understanding is that if you're joining a game that already has 4 players in it while you're the 4th player, this thing is ran 4 times for those 4 players. So on your local machine, you have 4 classes that runs this thing. Oh, that makes sense. That's a good way to explain things. It's like you have this script 4 times on 4 different objects. So yeah, there's a start in there. Okay, that makes sense. Big brain. Very big brain. Appreciate that. Okay, cool. Yeah, boys. 1 hour to write 3 lines of code. We did it. Thanks to your help. And one of them is a debug. One of them is a debug statement too. Yeah. That's what we call being efficient. Right. Let's boot up an RPC, shall we? Even take out that play release item. Inside of it, how can I not see it? Where is it? There it is. Inside of it, I'll do a text mesh. That's going to be the player name. Bring that a little bit closer. Player name. Not only that, but I will go ahead and create a new piece of object here. That's going to be a input field. That will be for player name as well. Changer, you could say. That I'll anchor it at the bottom and also in the center, so maybe alright. Just tweaking a little bit of the UI here. I'd like to just have a small section here where you can edit your name. Nothing too big. Yes, you can use the other things like is local client, for example, to disable the input of all other player locally. Just an example. Good. Thanks for your help, man. It actually really unstuck me, you could say. I don't know how to say that in English. It got me through the big problem that I had to figure out there. Point size 32. Let's see. And I'm gonna have a submit button. It's a good day out there. It's a good day outside right now. Looking forward to do something with my afternoon. Alright, so I got all of these things. It's time to hook them up in the lobby scene. Again, some single player logic, you could say. I want to have a public input field. Nice. It's Dex Mesh Pro UGUI TMP input field for the player name input. Okay. So I have the player name input. I want to have. I don't want to have the submit button, but I want to create something here for the public void on lobby submit name change. Yeah. Oh, that's my face in the middle of that function. Sorry about that. And for the unsubmit name change, I believe we're gonna have to call in RPC, use the example from earlier, then we're gonna figure out how this works. It's gonna be quite fun. Hopefully I'm not gonna be stuck on the same problem for too long. Okay. So let me go ahead and remove this image, and hook up everything in our lobby scene. So player name input is that. And on my submit button, call the lobby scene on lobby submit name change. Here it is. Good. Yeah, this one's gonna need to carry some information inside of it. So let's do string name, new name, and what's the name of the input field? Player name input dot value or dot text. Dot value? Dot text. And from that point on, we could call an RPC. So going back on what we had earlier, this is the equivalent of doing the player submit new position, I believe. So I would get out my proper, the right instance for whomever is calling this. I would get it out. And with that information, I would call player.move. Player.move, I believe, sends in RPC, right? Yeah, here it is. Good. So on my player controller, I'll have a section here for change name. Public void change name. Hi, hey, what's up, Abdul? How do you do? This change name I'll call it the exact same way as they've done it. So you know what, just copy this piece of code, get the local ID. I have the player, this is my player controller, and I'll call change name with the new name. There we go, just collapse this to make it look a tad more understandable on my side. And now from what I understood here, I can just change the name directly if I am the server, but if I'm not, I'm gonna go ahead and call an RPC. Is that correct? Yeah, so if I am the server, change it directly, else submit a position RPC. So just I'll grab all of this code. There we go. Oh, and those fields now become, I believe those become networked fields. So networked fields, I hope. It would be something like string player name. When the network start to, I'd like to do something, I don't know if that's gonna work. I think it's gonna be different for everybody, but I'll give it a try. Or we'll do a random.range in here. I know it's not completely random, but hey. Minimum number could be, I'd like this to be ints, but minimum number could be 1000, maximum is this. ToString, that'll be my player name. And when I do change my name, I'll just say player name is equal to new name. Now I just realized that those needs to be networked fields, so network variable. What type do I have? I have color, double float, int, long, permission, byte, string. There it is. And to declare this, you have to go ahead and just input parameters, whatever, I believe, like that. Okay, I'll just copy this. So new network variable settings in there. The write permission becomes owner only, so only the person who owns the object gets to do that, and the read permission is everybody. Everybody can see what I've put in there. What's that problem here? Oh. My signature is wrong here. New network variable first. There we go. So if I am the owner, if is owner, right, then I can change my own name and I think it's gonna work. Oh, that's funny because I don't need to do an RPC actually. I just realized that yeah, I don't need to actually do an RPC. I can just do this, I think. You know what? We'll give this a try. Did I hook up my submit button on lobby submit name change? Yeah, okay. Now I don't know if it gives me the option to see what was my network variable directly in the inspector. I hope it does, but I also doubt it because it would require some sort of serialization, I believe. Okay, so here it is. That's my player controller. And I can't see the variable inside of it though. Let me try and change, see what happens. Maybe nothing here, huh? Okay, well, to see this, since we can't see the values, we're gonna try and change. We're gonna try and change the name of the display that we see. So here, when I create that object for that very specific player, I'll keep a reference to it. So those are network fields. Those are not network fields, just fields. Okay, let's do text mesh pro UGUI include TMP. This is going to be the label, player name label on top of its object, right? So we do instantiate that prefab, and we'll do a get component on it for the text mesh pro UGUI. Okay. When I change the name, oh, oops, that text. I wonder if it overloads it directly to a string if I just do it like that. Yes, it does. Great. Creddle says, hi there, this is a great initiative, keep it up. Thank you, thank you. I am definitely, my schedule for the month is pretty much MLAPI, my multiplayer game, and well, the project I do for a living, basically, the thing that pay me. I lied, it does not convert it directly to a string. The variable class should have a value change event that you can use to update the UI. That's some good information for my very near future, actually. Yeah, it's definitely missing a part right now. I don't think it's gonna work at the moment. So, since it's a network variable, I'm expecting it to change and everybody will be noticed. And you know what? I am going to register events. As game time asked, do I use mirror? I've never used mirror thus far. I'm sticking with my own multiplayer library that I make off a transport layer, such as the LLAPI back in the days, and right now I'm using the com.unity.transport, which is great, and a video will come on that very soon. A video where I turn it into something simple, basically. Events, that's what I try to do. So when I want to register events, can I do player name dot events? Do they have any events? On value change. Is that an events? How do I use this actually? I don't even know. It's a delegate, okay. MLAPI is made by me? No, it's not made by me. No. I wish. On player name change, let's try that. So debug.log. This will cause some issue when I leave the scene, but we'll look into that after. So I think I'm doing the right thing here by keeping a reference, and technically since there's 4 of these classes on my player controller, then it's gonna work. On value change is an int, or no, it's not an int, it's actually a delegate, and I created a function out of it, like so. So I've added it, like it's just like it fits in a normal action actually. So I'm gonna host, I'll connect, then I'll try to change a name. Okay, cool, I got it. So it changed here, that's a good start. And here, I had no previous value. Actually, this information was sent as well. I had no previous value. Then it turned into 5, 6, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What about here? Good. Okay, so it changed the right thing. It's just not being called on the other side, and that's fine. It has to do with this over here. I only change the value if it's the owner. No, wait, that's not it. That is not it at all. I just don't do anything. That was my problem. I changed the value. I should just be able to change the value once this is changed. And it can be changed by the owner, because the owner is the only person who can change it technically, because the permission is owner only. Good, that changes it. When I do a name change, it should appear here. That being said, when I join the game, I'd like these. Is owner, the value is going to be changed. Okay, technically when I start the network, the value will also be changed, and then therefore the text will be applied in a different manner, which would mean I need to have a reference to the text first. So before I crash this, let's put that beneath the reference get. I'm feeling confident. Okay, we're starting to pick it up. Thanks to you guys in the chat section. I'm starting to pick up MLAPI. How it all feels, how everything is connected. From that point on, we can go and create systems, and with those systems, I don't even have to care about this anymore. Okay, I'm a host, I join. Problem, this did not change when I joined. So that's unfortunate. This one did. Why? If I am the owner, this was to change. Register event was not called prior. God damn it, sometimes I really suck at this. My bad. In case you're looking for ideas for future videos, right now the player-related aspect of things in Unity MLAPI seems relatively well covered, however the NPC aspect is not. For example, interacting with the environment and the way all players receive or not the updates from non-player object is something that we haven't seen thus far. So I think I'm getting what you're trying to say. So you'd like to be able to... So what you're trying to achieve would basically be... The NPC logic would just be local player logic, but for the server. Or are you talking more about AI stuff? Oh crap, I didn't receive this one. I don't know why. Let's change it, see if it does something. My name is Dave. Okay, we're getting one step closer. We have a little bit better idea what's going on. I have my lobby. When I leave, I want this object to be deleted. Please work. That'd be great if you worked on the first try. Disconnect event and it's still there. Crap. Okay. Yes, exactly. Especially managing RPC calls in an optimal way. I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell you on what I'm gonna do next, but for a personal project of mine, I'm creating an horror game, and please, I mean I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but like it's looking like it's gonna go well. I'm trying to create a horror game, and with what you said, I could definitely cover my ghost mechanic, how the people will be like. It's a game where you will go inside the church and you'll try and do some exorcism with your friends. And the ghost will attack you during that time, and that could be the logic you're talking about. If I'm vibing with you right now, you're looking for that AI logic on the server side and how it behaves, and where it behaves and how it communicates things to the player, to all the player in that case. Okay. So new issue. First, I never shut down this server. So I'll go on my lobby scene, and when I click the back button, I'll do a network manager dot singleton, and I'll shut down. I don't know if shutdown is gonna work. Yep, that's it. I'll make sure to tune in for that one. Yeah, you know what? Another to the list. So my next step will be to remove this object when I lose this player. Now, I was under the impression that it would do it automatically because I spawned the object with this. I don't spawn them with a certain ownership. I just realized, yeah, I used to spawn them with a certain ownership. Now they just spawn on their own. So let's see. So okay, the player controller is replicated everywhere, and does that get removed when the player leaves? If it does get removed, then I can put something on the undestroyed callback, since I'm doing that locally. That could work. All right. Player controller is here. That's good. I then connect, and there's another player controller. When I leave, it gets deleted. All right, we are golden. We found an entry, guys. When I do onDestroyed, I can go ahead and actually delete the object I've created earlier, and that object is here. Game object. Player. My player list item. Maybe there is something similar to network start, like network end or something, but otherwise onDestroy should work fine. Yeah, exactly, that's what I had in mind. So onDestroy will work fine because we saw the object disappear, and this logic is all about thing that is not on the network anyway. So even with the on-network start, on-network end, that I don't think that would work. Plus, let's see if there's one actually. Doesn't seem like it. On gain ownership or on loss ownership is the only other callback I see at the moment, but maybe it's because they're not public, but they're protected. Nope, there's nothing in the override for protected. Well then. Yeah, just go ahead and destroy this game object. Is it already? Yeah, it's already a game object. Oh, there we go. Let's see, how long we've been going for? We've been going for, how do I see this stat? 2 hours 40 minutes. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to cut this out a lot later on. But it's okay, if we can get the logic for the lobby, I'd be quite happy. Hallelujah. Awesome. Okay. Good. I'm getting to it. I'm making my way there. I'm understanding things just a tad better. Last bug I'd like to fix before we head into the game is why do I not receive previous information about the other guy? So let's check the flow. When I start a network, I register to certain events. Those events are there. The player name hasn't been changed. Okay. Then if I am the owner, I change the value. If I'm not the owner, the value is not changed, but it is changed by whomever connects. I'll remove that piece of UI here, see what happens. Oh, that wouldn't work because I see that wouldn't work because other people would try to change it, and though they are not the owner, so they'd get an error, right? Or not? See, now I have two numbers different. Crap, that's not good. I'm curious, what happens if I boot at a third build? That's even more weird. Okay, we'll have to find a way to get this information back. Yep. You don't like to use parallel sync to spin up a second unit for testing on the fly in play mode. I don't. I could do that technically, or parallel sync. Why do I need something like parallel sync to do that? I could technically do that. Yeah, that'd speed up the process, you know. Not for today, but I'll definitely look into this one. All right. Okay. I'm curious if I could do something like that. So if I am the owner, then we do this, else we just change it to whatever the value is supposed to be, and hopefully by that time, inside of the network start, the value is already synchronized. Yeah. We're not networking expert here, but in testing it did speed up things a bit. I'm a bit curious, so you keep speaking in we. I'm curious to know who is we? Do you have a studio? Like what? Tell us a bit about that. And connect. Well, that seems to be good. Ripfag says, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe value change is not called if the name was already set before, so maybe you would have to read it in network start for the other player. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So when I'm the owner, I change it, that's totally fine, then this calls the network set. Else, let's just put it on what it's supposed to be, assuming that the value was already synchronized before, and as my test just showed right here, the value is synchronized on network start already, so man, this gives me so much idea on how I'm gonna change my own code for the other game. Good, well, here we are. We have a couple of players in there. This one is Dave, this one is Jonas, and this one is Mike. That's me. Everybody's synchronized. Start is never gonna work unless you are the host. We lost Dave, that's unfortunate. Click start, and we can head into the game with these value already set. Okay. Well, I'm glad this is working. The last thing I want to make sure doesn't happen is that I have too many players, so I would just limit the amount of people who connects, max connection to 4. This is a 4-player game. And I'm gonna read a couple of comments. So we're a small game studio, Torix game, working on our first game, Cradle of Chaos, a multiplayer strategy game set in a fantasy environment. That's a good pick, thank you. It's fun watching you code, keep it buddy. Hey, thank you. I used we because I'm using the YouTube brand account at the moment. Let's have a look. Cradle of Chaos. That's not you, is it? No, that's not you. Crap. Cradle of... I can't actually select things. I'm in the dashboard, and in the dashboard I can't actually select your username. Oh, there you are actually. There. Oh, I love your heart already. That's cool. It makes me think of the first impression I get, and I'm sorry, I'm completely on a tangent, guys. Small break. It's a small break. But the first thing this reminds me is a lot of the maps on Warcraft 3. It seems like a combination of the Stronghold map on Warcraft 3 and the tower line defense. And I really love these modes. Like, you're going for something that is quite cool. I see here there's also like some part of jungle, so I guess you could send people there. I don't know yet. Yeah, you share the same name as a metal band. Yeah, that was cool. One of the game I really liked when I was playing more into a more strategy game was AoE 2 Rad, the radical game style for Age of Empire 2. So Rad custom map. Oh, it doesn't have it. Oh wait, no, that's... I see it right here. Yeah, that was really fun. So that was like a map in Age of Empire, and you would like have 4 castle always spawning units that you would choose, and it would create a crap ton of units. Everybody would have that, and it was so fun. You would just go to war with the units, and they were being spawned immediately. As soon as one of your castle goes down, you lose one unit spawner. And it doesn't show here, but you had like a small island that you had to move your unit on top of the flag, and if he was on top of the flag, then it would spawn that unit. But I wish it would show a little bit more. Oh, is it this one? Yeah, I think it's this one. Not quite. Anyway, I'm on a tangent. Very cool to see this broadcast on YouTube. That's very similar indeed. I would say you do something more unique, but it's just like the reason I brought it up is because that's the first thing it reminded me of. Those game modes were really cool. Either on Warcraft 3 or Age of Empire, there was so many good game modes. Just noticed the YouTube logo shows the CA. Are you a fellow Canadian dev? Check this out, man. That's some Timmy's right here. Okay. So we locked our game to 4-player. We have a game scene over here. It has nothing in it. I'm gonna have to start laying down a couple of things. How am I gonna tackle this thing? First, remove the goddamn skybox. Denki. I'll lay down the plane for the moment. Nope, not this side. Whoops. That's the side. Let's do an orthographic camera for the moment. Actually, no. Let's just do a normal camera. Up in the sky, rotate it in such a way that we see the board. I made a boring shooter game. Boring LUDO shooter game. That seemed less boring than just LUDO though. Hey, always nice to stumble on fellow Canadian dev. Yeah. I'm on the east side, so I usually speak French, which is why I struggle so much. Small world, you came up when I was doing some searching on MLAPI. Hey, that's cool. Terrence and Philip. I guess that's another way you could see Canadian, yeah. Terrence and Philip, of course. Okay, so just like we had our controller earlier for the lobby scene, I'm also gonna have a controller for that game scene. Input it here. That's gonna be the game scene. Put my script on top of it. And this one, should it be a network object? Let me think. No, this one won't be a network object. This one would just hold reference just like the other one did. So just gonna be a normal game scene, but there's gonna be another thing, one game controller or game manager in this case. So a game manager, and that game manager will be a networked object. Network behavior, something like that. Yep, I split these two objects apart too. I don't want to have the network object on top of the game scene. It's just going to cause some issue. So game manager, like so. My game manager, I'll put that under my net prefab for the moment. Go back to my other scene in which I have my network manager, add it under here. Oh, I forgot to make a prefab out of it. That's crap. No, I did make it prefab, okay. There we go. Okay. Alright, that seems good. So my next big challenge will be when I enter the game scene, I need to create a networked object that will be the game controller, and it needs to be replicated for everybody. So my first guess will be to do a private void start, for example, and I can't check if I'm the owner of things at the moment. But what I could do, I could do a network manager, singleton connected client, find the host in there, and the host will be easy to find because he is the network manager, instance host, or sorry, server client ID. And from that point, I can do a try get on it. Like so. Server client ID. Get the network client. Then I'll do a get component on his player controller. Wait, what was that? Okay, cool. Maybe in here I can have another function for create the game manager. Check if I'm the host, if is server. If I am the host, then I can go ahead and do my game object, blah blah blah, dot instantiate, all of that. Instantiate the game scene dot instance game manager prefab. Okay, so game manager prefab. Go get component network object, not network behavior, network object dot spawn, and I don't need any parameters because I just need to keep it as is. Do I want this to be destroyed with the scene? Yes, I do want, so true. Now I just need to have an object for that. I can call player dot create game manager. Okay. Expensive and useless says like. Thank you. Yes. I agree. Okay, I'm actually quite scared of what will happen when I run this. Feeling like I'm gonna run into some issue for sure. Game manager is greeted. It's a network object. Okay, that seems to be good. Now we have to look at this from the other side. We have to look at this from when two player are connected together. Am I gonna have two game manager? Is that gonna happen? I am completely spooked. I believe I'm the host. Connecting here. There is one network manager, there is one game manager. I think it's synchronized. I'm not seeing any issue. I think we got it actually. That's great. That's actually great. Okay, I'm enjoying this a bit more now. It's starting to make a lot of sense. Good. I'm gonna think about the next step while I hit the restroom again because I drank so much coffee. I'll be back. Alright. I've had an idea. It's time to spawn all the small pieces that comes with the LUDO, which will mean we will require some assets. So definitely we're not going to complete this week, but before next week I will have some asset for this. I'll just go buy something on the asset store if I have to, or I'll make them. Those are very simple. I can make them. But in the next live stream we're gonna have something cool to look at. Well, cool. It's LUDO, right? So it's quite simple, but a little bit different at least. You know what? Since we're here, we're also I'm just gonna customize things a little bit. Those are pieces. I'll call them pieces. They do look like pawns. I could call them pawn. Well, I just create one piece. Those will also be networked objects. So I believe we will add the network object. No box collider. We don't care about collision in this game. Thanks God we don't do collision. And take this, drag that there. Delete, put it under our network manager. Yeah. One thing that I would also like to do is under my player controller object, so this one, on top of having a player name, I'm also going to keep a color. So we can actually just put slap a material color on top of that and give it a bit of difference between the others. So network variable color, player color. Should I use a 32 or should I just use a normal one? Well, fine. So only the owner can change the color. If we were to do something perfect here, only the server would be able to change the color. So we would do a request to change color, and the server would look at, does anybody else have this color? No? Okay, then you can have it, else we don't change it. So player color, and I'll just randomize it when we enter the game. Just like we do for the name. Do I have an option to randomize here? Color.random? Nope. Maybe random.color. What about a new color and then I put random value inside of it? So here they ask for RGB in a float value, so I believe I would have to do random.range. Well, let's do Unity Engine first, yeah. Zero F and 1F. Very important that we include the F. If we don't put the F, it's gonna think it's a int value and we're gonna get either 0 or 1. Okay. Close this one off. And we have a random color. Now it's gonna be important for us to carry this over to the other scripts, the game manager somehow. Spawn all player. I want to have a list of everybody who's connected. That I have inside of the network connected client. So can I do a for loop on this thing? Or even better, for each. So I can have a direct reference already. So for each network manager in singleton connected client, that returns me a read-only ulong network client. So for each network client and C in the list of client. Oh, it's a key pair value. Okay. So key value pair of ulong and network client and C. Okay. So for all of these, I have the network client. Now, could I access that network client with a get component? We saw that earlier. Where do we see that earlier? Here. Dot player object get component. Okay. Oh, sorry. Dot value. Now we have access to player controller, one of them at least. For every single player controller, we are going to be spawning objects. So this is going to be a prefab again, so serialized field, private game object, piece, prefab. We'll need the list, right? Here we'll have to do, because we're spawning a total of 4 objects for every single one of these. Game object instantiate. We instantiate the piece prefab. Then we'll do a get component mesh renderer, get the material on top of it, dot color, and we'll do pc.player_color. I believe it's is it a private value? Private, huh? Put that in public. Hopefully nothing breaks when I do that. That'd be cool. There we go. Dot value. Okay, I'll give this a try before I go any further, before I position them, see if it works. So I'm host with this guy, connect with the other one, hit start. I didn't call my function, did I? No, I didn't. Like, I'm quite stupid. My bad. Okay, so this is what happened. It's the game manager. We have to call the spawn all player, but we only have to call it from the is owner. Not the is owner, but the, what's the name of it? Is server, actually. And I guess we could override the network start again if I am correct. This is not the player object, but technically it has a network start. So if is the server, then we spawn all the player. How about that? I'll try locally. Okay, so it's not assigned. That's an easy fix. Good, good, good. We like when it's easy. Oh, there we go. Feels like a weird connection. I feel like this should be inside of the game scene object instead, but we'll give it a pass. Okay, I'm seeing random stuff being spawned. There needs to be 4 of these pieces. That's good. So 4 pieces because there's only 1 player. And it was cyan-ish. That's the random color assigned to a single person. Finding confusing that it's the same color, but you know, see, this one is a different color, but cyan twice, that feels a little bit too lucky for me. What is it exactly? So it's 2C E4B, 2C E4B. Yeah, okay, good. Just ended up being lucky, I guess. So I didn't actually have a look. Did that probably didn't show the right place for the other persons. Actually, it probably didn't even show at all because it's local. But it's a network object, so it probably did show. That's really confusing at this point. Yeah. Okay, so this is the client, and the client doesn't see that because the objects were not spawned on the network. So what I'm looking to do here is instantiate a piece prefab, and that piece prefab has a network object on top of it. Earlier that would have crashed, right now it doesn't. Not quite sure why. But let's go ahead and do a get component and get the network object of it, and spawn with a certain ownership. The ownership is going to be the pc.client ID. Yeah, that could do it. No, wait. nc.key could do it. Oops. Okay, so I'm seeing the clones, but they all have the same color. They all have the default material, because the material, the thing is only being assigned here. So I'll have to take out this piece of information here and somehow call it for everybody. Let me quickly think how I'm gonna get that through. So yes, we spawn this object, but we only assign the color when we are the server. So instead, I'll write a script for the piece. We'll end up needing that eventually for sure, right? Let's do C, let's do net. There you go. I'll do a script for the piece, and this one is also a networked object, so I'm assuming that at that point, oh sorry, have to make sure it's actually inheriting the network behavior. There we go. From that point I can then override the network start. Here on that network start, I can check if, I don't even have to check if it's a local player, I just have to assign the color. So here, get component type of mesh renderer, grab its material, grab its color, assign it to my PC. Now I don't have access to player controller in this case. Crap, this is a bit harder than I thought. When I create this object, can I do initialize on it? Probably not, huh? Wait, okay. So my goal right here would be to initialize this object with a certain parent. That parent could be the player controller. So private player controller, let me just call him owner, why not? And when I start the game, I could technically look for who is the owner of this piece and keep it in my reference. That's good, that's very good. Okay, let's do that. So I'll try to get my value. My value is myself, is actually the owner of this object.
try get value owner client ID, because this piece has a different ownership. We've changed that when we spawn it. Then we get the player controller. This is the owner PC, and I can then change the color based on this person. So let's do seem to be doing good now. Starting to figure out things a bit more. I do get some issue here, okay, because I already started the server on this one. But I'm getting a bit tired mentally. I will need a break fairly soon. Let's see. There we go. So I'll give myself another 15 minutes, and then I'll wrap things up. I'll put that on GitLab. We can have a look at it from there if you wish, and I'll come back to that on the next stream. But it'd be cool that before I end, I actually get all my piece in order, even on the client side. Here they are. Oops. I hate this feature. When you shake your screen too much, it kills everything around it. I really hate this. I should disable it. There's probably a way to do that. Okay, so here it is. Should have two. Yeah, here they are. Since I gave myself another 15 minutes, might as well just position them at the proper place. What I'll do is I'll use this spawner player from the server to give them a specific position. And we'll do it inside of a for loop. No, not even, sorry. We'll do it here. So int player position 0. And every time we're done, I'm gonna say player position ++ or player index. Seems a bit more accurate for this. Now, if I move this object, does the transform get replicated? It probably doesn't, does it? I mean, but earlier I saw that in the UI it did change. Let's give it a try. I'm just wondering, because earlier I saw it change, but it wouldn't make sense to do that. Well, screw it. Let's give it a try. So let's do vector3.1 times I in this case. It does. It actually carries over the position. That's cool. That's really cool. And also, why is it that color? That's not cool. Okay, no. It worked. It's just that they were stacked on top of each other. Alright, so I can just change the position. That's gonna work. So it's being synchronized, even this. That's more than I expected, actually. A lot more than I expected. I guess I can change it here. Good. And if that makes sense here, I would not need to grab the color from this place, but I can change the position. So how am I going to do a square pattern? Well, we're going to do a little bit of magic here. I'm going to say vector3 inner offset is going to be equal to, depending on the switch statement, let's do vector3.0 switch I, and inside of I then we'll just apply something such as if we have 0, therefore the inner offset is going to be equal to vector3. It's a new vector3. -1, 1. Case 1, that's going to be the second piece. Inner offset is equal to 1, 1. And I just go on like that. There we go. That's going to be our inner offset. Then we can move the position of that. So go transform position is equal to inner offset. That's going to give us the small square shape, but now we have to do it for every single player. So on top of that, we'll do another switch statement for the spawn position. By the way, just to make sure here, I'll put that on null. There we go. It's not nullable? Okay. 0 it is then. Here, my spawn position could be, I don't know how far it's going to be away from each other. I don't know how long the board is going to be either, so I'll just put some arbitrary value for the moment. -10, and that's going to be 10, 5. Those two will be -5. And there we go. So, spawn position plus the inner offset. Okay, so weird result over here where I am not seeing my pieces where they should be, but all in the center of this game. And this is a client, but here is the host, and the host seems to be at the right place. Maybe. Let's give it a try. Oh, and they seem to all be owned by the server. That's odd. So, where are my pieces? -9, okay, so they are here, in this angle. That's not the angle I'm looking for. Yeah, I keep forgetting that in Unity you have this axis. My bad. But it doesn't resolve the fact that it didn't work as expected. It was supposed to sync over the position. You saw it sync over the position earlier. Why it didn't do it now, I don't know. Oh, because spawn with ownership is being called afterward. Maybe that's it. And that's a note that I have to take right here. Yeah, So, spawn with ownership carries over the network value. The transform value. Would make sense. Let's bring this one down there. I'm not happy about the way I'm positioning things right now. This has to change, but I just want to make sure we get this rolling before I end the stream. The transform is only sent during the spawn. You have to add a network transform object. You have to add a network transform up to the object if you want to sync the position during gameplay. Or in your case, you can move the line up where you set the transform. That's cool. Okay, so... Oh, that's actually nice. There it is, my first player. Okay, so that's some good stuff. So Ripfake just said that I could add a network transform on top of it and it would synchronize it automatically. That's cool. Do we need that much for a Ludo game? Probably not, because the pieces are going to be static all of the time except when you move them. But it would make things easier, as in it would simplify that logic. Oh, that's crap. I don't get to see it because it's too far away up there. I just want to make sure things work, dude. Why? I'm just going to pull the camera out. There we go. Final test. There we go. Okay. So on the left is, I believe that's the host. Yeah, he started on this side, so that's the host on the left. He just doesn't have the right color. That should be an easy fix. On my pieces, when I do a network start, I try to get a value, blah blah blah. Set the mesh. That color is. Oh, we had that same issue earlier. How did I fix that issue? We had the same thing earlier. We had the same problem earlier and I forgot how to fix it. Crap. Maybe it's because the player color is not synchronized. That could be it. Yeah. Maybe the problem is one level higher than I thought. So here I position the thing. I spawn with ownership. When I spawn with ownership, the piece is being created, okay? The network start is being ran on it. I get the owner of that. I retrieve his player controller. And then there's a value here. What is that value? I don't know. Player color dot value. Let's check. Player owner client ID. And I believe the problem was on the host side, the client side most likely. The host has all the information, so I doubt that was on the client side. So let me hit connect host. Start. Okay. For P2, I got this RGBA. Yep. And now for P1 or P0 in this case, where is he? It's never ran for P0. I don't see it. The 3. Yeah, okay. In the 3. Cat. So it's run 4 times, okay. Ripbake says, I think the problem is that the object is spawned both client at the same time, so you set the owner color while the other client runs the code at the same time, but the color is not set. So we have to handle the value change. Okay. Yeah, no, I like your insight here, because what I'm assuming really happens from what you just said is that the object is spawned and then not in the same frame, then we would have the synchronization, and then that synchronization is too late, basically. So here I can subscribe to it. Just give it a try, right? So private void. No, actually, I've got the same code I have on the other side. On player color changed. I'm fixing this, then I'm gonna wrap up. Okay. Make sure to unsubscribe from everything in the undestroy, just to fix a future bug that we would run into. Same thing on this guy. So if they're out of sync right now, they should resynchronize themselves when the values actually change. Or actually the material should only be set when that happens, which would mean I could remove it from the network start. Oh, that's a funny new way to see things. Where are my pieces? They look very much gone. Oh, null reference. Let's see. So owner, player color, or unregistered events. Okay, so the owner does not exist at the moment because owner is set inside of here. My bad. Okay. Are they kidding me, or is that the real color? At least they match now, I guess. No, it's the default color for sure. I can't be that lucky, yeah? So we get the material, and then it feels like this event is not called material.color new value. Can't type this morning. Okay, it's not gonna work. I just realized it's definitely not gonna work here. Do I still set the color? I do set the color, but it's in the past, right? So it's roughly around here. That's, you know, that script doesn't even exist when the color is being set. So that's why I was expecting it to grab the right color from earlier. I mean, I'm still gonna leave that piece of code there if you decide to change the color in the middle of the game. I don't know if that should be allowed, but it will be in the code, and if it's not something we want in the game, we just won't give access to it, right? So I get a component, that's good. I get the player controller object. At this point, I was expecting it to have the proper color. Yeah, that's it. So at this point, I was expecting it to have the proper color. So I could just say map.color is equal to the player color, like so. And that should have been the case. But the truth is that this is not being ran on every machine, so my first guess right now is that I'm not entering this piece of code for every single network start, so I'm not getting to this point here. And this is why I have some issues. Oh, plus I get a null reference here, that's not cool. I get 4 null reference because I try to register events for these 4 pieces, but owner does not exist because we don't go inside of that piece of code. So my try get doesn't work here. Yeah, this is it. So my try get doesn't work. Therefore, I'm not able to assign a player controller to every single one of these. Which kind of sucks. I was expecting this to work because this piece is spawned with a certain client ID, and that client ID becomes the owner, and then I was trying just to get the network player object for that. Ah, crap. If it's a try get, do I have to do I get like a return value in case it doesn't work? Try get value. just to confirm what I was expecting, or what I'm thinking actually. I'm gonna run this code. If the other pieces are red, it means it doesn't go through the try catch, and if that is the case... Oh, it's not even red. What could be the problem? God damn it. Material doesn't exist. Okay, alright. I'm dumb. But yeah, it ran through the if statement, so that's my problem. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I'll figure this one out once I have a little bit more of a clear head. We've been coding for almost 4 hours. And I usually code for like 1 hour maximum per session, multiple times a day, but a full 4 hour like that is a bit hard for me to do because my focus is completely gone. That being said, still gonna have a look at it. Let's see, is it red? It's red. This red, right. Good. Well, it is time to wrap this thing up. I'm gonna find a proper git ignore that we can put in there. I believe this one will do the job. It's a git ignore for Unity, has a lot of stuff in it. Boop, boop, boop. Come up here, throw it inside of my asset folder, and we'll just wrap it up for today by creating a new project. Put it on public. And I am going to go ahead and just push to that branch real quick. Oh, I put a space in between that. Let me just make sure we don't make this kind of mistake. Oh, close everything first though. What could it be open in? Unity, of course. Add my remote. And there we go, it's going to be online for the moment. Let me just pull up the link, put that in the description. Noel, good stream, was fun to chill with you while you worked on this. Thank you. I struggled a lot to make things work and I had a lot of help, and I'm really happy about streaming it because else I would not have a lot of help. So I'm really grateful for you guys tuning in, and yeah. It's something I'll have to do in the future, of course. We want to wrap this thing up on the stream. I'm not offline, though I am saying that I might work on it offline just to change the assets and just give it a small things that are not multiplayer related or code related. So definitely will be doing that. And if I don't, I'll make sure to post the update on my GitLab with a description of what has changed. You can find the link here for the code. You can find the code here. There you go. Save. So it's now in the description, and it's time to wrap this up. I'm gonna go and go outside, get a little bit of sun. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Peeps, you have anything to say? What up? You want a treat? You want to go for a walk? You want to go for a walk? Oh, come on, get up. Nah, he likes to sleep. Alright guys, well, again, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week, Sunday, most likely again. I'll make a post in the community so you guys can see it. And thank you so much for